First Friday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. I am merely Bo. He is the great Z. How you living, buddy?
I'm fine. I'm bummed, though. I was just telling you before we got on. Watched 1923 last night, which was the fourth episode. And then they're like, yeah, we'll be back in another month. Like, we only had 4 episodes, brother. Like,
yeah. So this started, I'm pretty sure that whole trend started with The Sopranos, which, by the way, debuted 24 years ago yesterday.
I saw that. Yeah.
But I think it all started there. In the 6th season of The Sopranos, they just stopped. They did like 2 seasons, and I think it was around the writer's strike.
It was around the writer's strike, though.
But they split the season. And then what happened is all of the AMC products did that. Mad Men, Breaking Bad, they all did that, where you get – and Game of Thrones did that, where we'll give you 8,
once.
And then we'll give – well, they do it at the end, right?
Yeah, but this is the
beginning.
No,
I understand. So this is the bastardization of that.
Like, I understand it if you're doing like a 16-episode season, you do 8 and 8.
But they want another month out of your subscription because they know that you're not gonna that some may bail as soon as this is done. They want to keep you locked in for another 4-week run.
It just seems crazy to me.
I agree.
Yellowstone just is off.
They did the same thing.
What I thought they were doing was they were like, oh, Yellowstone's gonna be off, so now we're gonna hit you with this.
Yeah.
And then we'll come up with something else, and then Yellowstone will be back, and so you're always with us every Sunday. Because the Sunday night show,
yeah,
it's great.
Locked in.
Drops 1 a week.
Did you is it possible that speaking of shows that air on Sundays and will be back at some point in the spring, is it possible that the WWE is Succession? Like, you hear this drama the last 24 hours? I mean, I know that you have, of all people.
Yeah.
You're not hard of hearing.
I've talked with many people
involved. There's a lot going on here, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots. I mean, it's a crazy story.
Yes, he has strong-armed himself back into the company.
He's Logan Roy.
Being Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
They vote against him. The board members say no, including his daughter and son-in-law, because of many transgressions.
Yes.
And force himself back in. And then there was a story last night that they're going to sell to the Saudi royal, the same people who do the live.
That has been debunked.
But not eliminated.
Eliminated, yes.
Like, it's all in play.
And there are, I can tell you this, many people in that company who would immediately cease working with them.
Yeah, I'll see you on down the road.
Oh, man, look at it.
Look at that. That's a suit, isn't it?
Look at it. No, it's just a sport coat. It's a sport coat.
It's a slightly different shade in pant and jacket.
But did you see the like?
Well, of course. Yeah, of course.
By the way, have we talked about that's a crazy situation.
That's a crazy story.
Man quit.
That's right.
Yesterday.
No, it is. It's Succession.
Yeah.
It's playing out.
I cannot wait because it's going to happen for the documentary. We'll call it 30 for 30 is what we say for everything now. But of this, whatever this period has been from his ouster to his return to whatever this sale happens to be.
He has to be interviewed for that to be effective. It can't be the Jordan one where only Jordan is talking about Jordan.
I would like him to be interviewed, but
like,
I'm pretty
sure. It can't all just be one, like I need to see the counter.
I would like to have it all parties involved would be magnificent. Will you get that? Not so sure.
Not likely.
I mean, this is it's wild.
Yeah.
To say the very least.
And I knew you'd be plugged into it, but I saw that last night when I got home. I was like, wow, that is a lot going on.
Have we talked about Murderville?
No.
It was just funny because the way that he was walking right there just reminds me of Murderville, which is it's a show on Netflix.
Okay. Remember, I'm out on Netflix right now, so I haven't seen any of that stuff.
Sad.
Well, I'm going to let it. They were giving me nothing. Now there's a lot going on there, apparently.
Yeah, there is a lot going on.
So I might come back in.
Come back in. The water's warm
when it's needed. But then I got a backlog of stuff that I'm working on.
So Murderville stars Will Arnett as Detective Terry Seattle. And each episode.
Oh, you have told me about this.
Yeah,
where
it brings in the celebrity.
I love Arnett.
So we just watched Conan O'Brien, Ken Jeong, and Marshawn Lynch.
Okay.
I mean, I was howling. So
It's a pretty good group of humans.
Everybody on the show except for the celebrity is in on the show, has the script. But it's all ad-libbed because basically they have to respond to the celebrity who's saying whatever. It is a delight. It is hysterical. I have very much enjoyed that. Neither here nor there. Obviously, people are tuning into Browns Day. The big news today, Jim Schwartz in the building for his interview. The first interview for the Browns defensive coordinator position.
Yeah. So back to the show. We'll get there. We got time. We're only 5 minutes in.
Time. You're right.
I mean,
I felt like I'd get that in. That's why I didn't.
I don't know that that's.
You have an hour and 56 minutes.
We got a long time.
Yourself.
It wasn't.
I don't know that anybody listening right now is like, oh, are we sure this is happening? We got to wait till 1 o'clock to know for sure. Like,
no,
it's been widely reported.
We got to avoid probably the 36-minute bomb. Once we
won't
get
do
into
that.
Summer, we can do that. But
we won't do that. We'll keep you on track.
Why do we? Why can't? What's wrong with the bomb?
We were headed for the bomb until you went back to like regular scheduled programming.
No,
we could have bombed.
I just said it was a 1 second.
We could have done the bomb for
like from
20 more minutes.
Standpoint,
we could have done it.
Can't be doing that.
I wasn't. Listen, I can't see you.
June, we can totally do that.
I can't see you. I don't know about your break signs.
Jim Schwartz and Flores, both previously head coaches.
Yes.
And Flores reportedly tomorrow is what it seems like. You're saying that he would be in here tomorrow. It does feel like there's a sense of urgency here to get this rolling pretty quickly. It's. I would think it could be a little tricky because there's a lot open. There's a lot of jobs open right now. So, and there could be more. Like the Rams job could be open. Schwartz wouldn't be, but I would think that Flores might get a shot at the top of the heap one more time. So at least. So what do we got here? We got Carolina, Denver.
Yep.
Ramit.
Yep.
AZ.
Yep.
Who am I missing?
Indy, Houston.
Indy and Houston.
Dan Patrick had Tom Pelissero on his show, and he said
five open jobs, almost 6.
He would be surprised if one of these 3 people was not the next head coach of the Denver Broncos. Sean Payton.
Okay.
Jim Harbaugh.
Yep.
Dan Quinn. So
our mutual friend Benjamin Albright, the Natalie-attired Benjamin Albright, with some back and forth on this morning that I saw, and on Sean Payton was more lukewarm on the thinking that Sean would want that job.
Yep.
Then there were people who were saying, well, if it's not Sean, they're going Harbaugh automatically. And he was like, not so sure. Harbaugh might actually want to be in Indy, which is where he played, close proximity to home and family and all of that. And that also that Harbaugh is kind of leveraging Michigan in this operation as well.
Yep.
So this is the 3rd year in a row he's done that, and they just keep putting up with it. It's really remarkable. And so Dan Quinn is sitting out there. Now, was Dan defensive coordinator in Seattle?
Defense coordinator in Seattle.
When Russ was there? Would have been, yeah.
Yes, he was. And then head coach, obviously, of the Falcons in that Super Bowl when Kyle was his offensive coordinator. But, yeah, he was
funny. I almost think Kyle was the head coach in Atlanta because of the way that thing ended, and I never even remember who the coach was. I always just think that I associate that blown lead with Kyle.
Right. Dan Quinn was the head coach in that 28-3. So he was the Seahawks defensive coordinator 13 and 14 with the Legion of Boom. Then gets the Falcons head coaching job right after that, 15 through 20, and then he's been the DC for the Dallas Cowboys the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Got his career started in the NFL with the Niners as a defensive quality control coach 2001-2, then the D-line coach there 2003-4, goes to Miami D-line coach 5-6, Jets D-line coach 7-8, Seattle assistant head coach and D-line coach 9-10, Florida, the University of defensive coordinator 2011-12, back to Seattle DC, Falcons head coach, Dallas DC, was a Super Bowl champion with the Seahawks, was the assistant coach of the year last year, and is headed down that road as well. Career coaching record 46 and 44 as a head coach.
What from his tenure in Atlanta would lead you to believe we got to run this guy back?
I mean, they were good and competitive with Kyle,
and then off a cliff pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think people like his defense works. He is considered a strong leader of men.
It fell off pretty quick in Atlanta.
It did. Part of that's when you don't win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, part of that's maybe, not everybody is a general. Some people can be a lieutenant.
So you're out on Quinn.
I'm not out on him. I'm just saying, like, we're so quick to regurgitate a guy. Maybe the reason his defense is so damn good in Dallas is they drafted Micah Parsons.
Who's quite good.
Who's quite good.
Yeah.
And that flipped a lot of things. They've had a lot of good drafts on the defensive side of the ball. Diggs was a revelation a year ago.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We're so quick. The NFL, it's really interesting. You do the retread thing, or you try to go up, pick off of a tree. And I think that's kind of why Harbaugh is getting so much attention right now, is the trees that you normally pick from, McVay, Shanahan, they've been picked, man. There's no fruit left.
Yeah.
Who are you going to take off of those staffs? Sean told his entire team to leave. The whole group could leave.
How about that?
Yeah.
So that means he's obviously not
clearly
coming back.
And Kyle's staffs have been poached the last 3 seasons.
They've already had requests to talk to 2 of their head personnel guys.
Yeah. I said this a month ago, and I know you're a big fan. Maybe he's the only real true genius in the sport, and everybody else is a variation of mimicking it.
Not according to Corporate Gibbe.
Corporate Gibbe is, I know you're not a fan, but I don't know.
I actually am a fan.
You wanted him on the hot seat.
He was on the hot seat. Mike Florio put him on the hot seat.
Florio put him on it for a week.
That's all right. That validates everything.
Does not age well.
Validates.
Can you imagine?
I love that's the backup you're going
how
for.
How his staff has been pillaged.
Look forward to seeing you at the combine.
I mean, his staff's been pillaged.
Yeah.
Year after year after year.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Quarterbacks leave. Doesn't matter.
Going back to the
He's
Dan
13-4.
It's okay to just be a coordinator.
That's it. Just be a coordinator. Maybe that's all maybe that's what you're good at.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's like Norval. Norv was a great coordinator.
Yeah, he was.
Great coordinator.
Yeah.
Everywhere
and got a ton of chances to
but
HC.
That wasn't his skill set. Great coordinator, though.
Yeah, didn't have it. So
it'll be interesting. On the Browns list, for example, you referenced Jim Schwartz, former head coach. Flores has been a head coach. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, Chris Ballard, the Colts GM, is available over there. It's going to get interesting at the top of the draft, making some comments and availability. Do whatever it takes to get the right quarterback, including trading up to get him. No guarantees, but not fun to think about Indy trading up and getting their franchise QB as a Texan. Sit and watch. That's from Landry Locker, who does radio down in Houston. Yeah, that's what losing does, right? When you're the Colts, that gets you the 4 spot. That allows you to go to 1 if you want to. The Bears can leverage all of these things, whether it's Fields or Young or whatever. They can leverage it all. So it's going to be really, really fascinating at the top of the draft. Did you guys see this morning all flights in this country were grounded until 9 a.m.?
Yeah.
I had a plane take off around 6 a.m. because we're in the flight pattern. So I know, in the mornings, I know how late the flights usually go. There were 1, maybe 2 planes that took off at 6 a.m. and then nothing. And I was like, yeah, what's going on here?
Grounded them all till 9. Is there an entity, a service that you pay for in this country that is worse off right now than that one, of no fault of the employees? It's not their fault. Everybody knows that.
I like how you keep saying that.
What?
It's nice of you to say that.
It's not their fault.
No.
It's got nothing to do with them.
No.
They're trying to make more money every year while not improving the product, while slicing cost and increasing revenue. And now you have what we've had over the last – this has been this way it's been trending this way for years. You were disaster last year. I was disaster last year.
Yeah.
I was told – you were told you had a flight, what was it, Thursday? Or Wednesday? And they said, well, we can fly Saturday.
Sunday, yeah. To Disney.
That's
our
it's
our
all
whole
locked
vacation.
in.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
That's not what we signed up for. I was told on the way back from the Bahamas, Newark is the end of the line. I continue to say, well, this is not Ohio, so this isn't, right? The Southwest debacle over the holidays.
Yeah.
Shut it down and now this? Lock it up, man. They got to get that industry in order.
The only thing that is good about that industry is it's not like planes are falling out of the sky. That would be.
But that feels like a minimum requirement.
Well, yeah.
But how many days?
Is that you think about the glamour when we were kids of people who would fly, meal, suits.
Oh yeah.
Now it's just steerage, just slammed in.
Oh yeah. Don't say a word.
Charge you for anything.
Yeah.
No meal. Here's a half bag of pretzels and a water. I mean that.
Hey,
all that.
A bag.
Right. Now more. We need more for that. We need more.
Seat?
Yeah. You want to pay for a seat? You want to sit? You want to sit in the front half of the plane? Now that's going to cost you.
Yeah.
That's it. And by the way, it's only worth something if we say so, because we can flip a plane on you at any point, and then we'll put you at the back. And you'll be so happy to get the hell out of wherever you are that you'll take it.
Yeah, you don't care.
May have another. Yeah, sure. I'll do it again. There's no other industry that's like this.
I mean, we're
it's insane.
Z and I are both supposed to fly next week. This is going to back things up 3 or 4 days.
I'm telling you, it's made me rethink everything. And unfortunately for me, families in California, it's in Montana. Like those, it's not drivable.
No.
I mean,
but I'm thinking about
like National Lampoon's Vacation.
Drivable from
put the
family trucks
there out.
Yep.
It's drivable from Arizona.
Well, New Mexico. We can't.
Either.
Arizona's untenable now. We'll have to go. We got to go to New Mexico. But we need like an RV. Is the way to do it. You got to RV it up.
Yeah.
And head someplace. It's outrageous. Absolutely. All right. What do we got today? We got an All-Pro team. We do.
The NFLPA All-Pro team.
Yeah,
first
like
one ever. Voted on exclusively by the players.
I like it. So we will go over that. Coming up next, we've got one thought here on a First Friday.
That's next?
That's coming up in a couple of segments. We'll go around the NFL. We have some more sound from our guys on Locker Cleanout Day. We've got a little better or worse coming up as well. We're off and running here on a First Friday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Cheering your Cleveland Browns with the help of your favorite four-legged companion, Barking Backers, presented by Milkbone, the Browns' newest club for pet parents worldwide. Sign up today at barkingbackers.com. Barking Packers, the fan club for dogs. You want to talk about Jim Schwartz? The floor is yours. Tell the people.
Jim Schwartz interviewed today with the Cleveland Browns for their vacant defensive coordinator position. Schwartz initially broke in the NFL as a personnel scout for the Browns in 1993 to 95. First candidate to interview for the job. Previously been the head coach of the Detroit Lions from 2009 to 2013, leading them to the playoffs in 2011. He's also been a defensive coordinator multiple times, 2001 to 2008 for the Titans, 2014 for the Bills, and with the Eagles 2016 to 2020, where he would have overlapped with Andrew Berry in 2019.
Yep.
The Eagles, of course, you'll remember, won the Super Bowl when he was a defensive coordinator in 2018. The last 2 years, he has served as a top defensive assistant for the Tennessee Titans. So that's what he is. His defenses are known to be heavily based around strong defensive line play. He's previously coached 4 defensive linemen who have been named Pro Bowlers or first-team All-Pros: Hainsworth, Sue, Marcel Darius, and Fletcher Cox, all interior guys.
All interior.
Hainsworth called Schwartz a mastermind for how he operated the Titans defense from 2001 to 2008. He's 56 years old. He's been in the NFL for 29 years.
Are you going to cite your information?
This is courtesy. Well, it's readily available information, but culled from an article from the great Anthony Poisel.
Anthony Poisel with this little
Poisel.
He can't join us today.
Why?
Why not?
His boss has him tied up if he wants to go on vacation.
What does that mean?
He's got things to do. Got responsibilities today.
What possibly is more important than this program?
Great.
I ask that question all the day.
He is more
Every day
disappointed than all of us combined.
I mean, you're making a star out of the kid.
I mean,
the kid's making a star turn.
It's 15 minutes.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately,
Jeez.
time is of the essence.
What a problem. What a real problem that is.
What?
Yeah, hate to see it.
Pour one out for AP.
All right, the NFLPA voted for their NFL All-Pro team. First time that this has happened.
Yes, first ever.
Which is really cool. So I think of all of the things that you can be honored with as a player, this is the one that is the most important.
All-Pro. Elite.
Well, here's the thing. I'm talking about the All-Pro in general. I think that's the most important is the All-Pro list. That's when you look back on who's a Hoff and who's not. The first thing you look at is how many All-Pros. How many were you the best at your position in the league? Historically, this is done by the NFL writers, correct?
It still will be.
Correct.
That's on Friday, the AP All-Pro team.
AP All-Pro team, but that's
AP comes out Friday.
Okay, that's the one that you circle.
Yes.
So this is the first time that the NFLPA put out their All-Pro team. Now, when I first heard that they were doing this, my fear was that it would be much like the NFL 100, and I've heard from plenty of players who have voted on that that's like handed to them as they're done with a practice, and they just kind of half-ass it. It appears that that's not the case here. It appears that the NFLPA, the look of this looks like the All-Pro team.
Yeah.
I mean, this is two of our guys make the list, Joel Bitonio at left guard, Myles Garrett on the edge. But this very much looks like, I mean, quite frankly, it looks like the old All-Madden teams.
Yep.
It's got everything you want.
It's got everything you want. So I'm just looking real quick here. So Kansas City has 3, including punter Tommy Townsend. The Las Vegas Raiders have 2 on offense. The Niners have 1, 2, 3, 4. That leads the way, I believe. Juszczyk, Trent Williams, Fred Warner, and Nick Bosa. The Eagles have 2 on their offensive line. They've got Jason Kelsey, Lane Johnson.
They got Slay.
And then they've got Darius Slay. So they've got 3. Dallas. So Micah Parsons doesn't make this?
Yeah, he was not happy about it.
It'd be nice if you knew how to use a
Couldn't
microphone.
hear you, Gibby. We're on air.
Sad.
It is interesting. They have 2 off-ball linebackers and 2 edge rushers.
By the way.
Yeah.
He has by far become the biggest offender of Mike's on-off issues by like a billion.
Yeah, that's
second. Might as well be 8th, as I like to say.
How about this? They only have 10 defensive players. They only pick 10 defensive players.
2, 4, 5, 6, 8. No,
they got 11.
11, the nose tackle.
Oh, yeah.
only 2 corners, though. They're in a very
– oh, yeah, I didn't see Dexter Lawrence in there.
They're in a 5 defensive lineman. They're in a 5-2-4.
Yeah, 5-2-4. As opposed to the traditional 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers, 2 corners, 2 safeties.
Yeah.
Honestly, they should have another corner as much as this league's in nickel.
They should.
If
there shouldn't be a nose tackle should not be its own category.
Absolutely
2
not.
interior defensive
that should
linemen.
be out. It should be 2 interior. It should be a 4-2-5. Should be the setup.
Or you could do 4-2-4 with like a wild card, whereas Micah Parsons would make it as your wild card. Just is he an edge rusher? Can he be a linebacker?
Yeah,
a lot of things. I mean, look, the fact of the matter is, I don't know if there's a single team in the NFL. There isn't that is in base more than they're in sub. So sub is the new base.
Sub's base.
Yeah.
Base is now heavy.
Like, for example, the Browns play the 3rd most base in the NFL, 32%.
Yeah.
It's an interesting list here. I think it's a
like
very good
list.
one. It's a great list.
I don't think there's any. I mean, Parsons is the only one I look at and go, it feels like he should be on this thing.
I mean, Dexter Lawrence was made. What's wild to me is, and I'd have to look up Dexter Lawrence's stats, which I will do right now. But Dexter Lawrence, I'll tell you, because that Daron Payne felt like he was certainly having a heck of a season to not make it from the interior in Washington. 11. I know he had 11.5 sacks.
Is it one of those things
20
where
tackles for
I don't
loss?
Did Donald have a year this year?
I'm going to look up.
Or is that just a situation where?
Well, he's going to get because he's Aaron Donald.
Because he's Aaron Donald.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, he missed the last 4 games, didn't he?
Yeah.
All right.
Kansas City had 4. Ended up having 4 on this list.
Did I miss
Chris
one?
Jones.
Oh, Chris Jones.
And then they got
so
Tommy Townsend.
So KC and SF 4
had the
each.
most. Yeah.
2 is not bad. All right, Aaron Donald this year, 11 games, 5 sacks.
Yeah.
And 10 tackles for loss. So he shouldn't have made it.
No.
That's just based on that's reputation. Daron Payne. Let's see what Daron Payne finished the season with. It shouldn't be that hard. It's just the internet. Let's go. Daron Payne finished this season with 11.5 sacks, 18 tackles for loss, which was a pretty electric season. I don't see this. I know Dexter Lawrence did have a good year for the Giants. I'm just curious what that looks like. All right, Dexter Lawrence this year had 7.5 sacks, 7 tackles for loss. Made the Pro. I mean, Daron Payne feels like a little bit of a job on Daron Payne, to be honest with you.
How about Devontae Adams over Tyreek Hill?
I think Tyreek Hill limped in pretty good.
Well, might have something to do with who was slinging him the rock.
What do you think? All right, let's go guess the stats because Devontae Adams had a down year, right? That's kind of the narrative.
Oh no, I don't. I know that he had a big year. I understand that he had a good year. But when I think about the 2 best receivers in this league this year, I think Jefferson and Hill are the 2 I think of.
All right, Gibbe, guess the stats: catches, yards, touchdowns. Devontae Adams.
Probably 78 catches.
Okay.
1,200 yards.
Okay.
8 touchdowns.
Okay.
I'm going to
go 3 figures on the catches.
I'd like to introduce you in 100 catches, 1,516 yards, and an NFL best 14 receiving touchdowns.
Yeah. Perfect. So I'm right there.
But it's also to me that feels kind of. Look, I don't take away from him. If Hill's close, I just think
Tyreek Hill.
From a stat standpoint, how close is he?
Tyreek Hill, 1,710 yards.
So greater than
7 touchdowns.
Less than
half.
Catches. What's he at?
119.
Greater than.
Way more targets though.
Yeah.
170 targets. That's a lot of targets.
That's what I'm saying. Like it feels like it to me. I think Hill would have been the right choice.
Adams
had a great year.
14 touchdowns.
Dude, they chased every game. They chased. They didn't have to lead ever. Every game was chase.
Hold on a second. Just the quick devil's advocate. They blew 4 14-point leads.
Yeah.
And by the way, the Dolphins haven't really won since week 12.
And now you're making my point for me because what has happened to the Dolphins quarterback position over the last month and a half?
Not great.
How many games did he play?
He was
with
very
Tua
good earlier. Yeah.
I mean, did he get 8 games with Tua? 10?
Here's the weird thing about it.
Probably 10 with Tua.
Tyreek Hill had 2 receiving touchdowns in the first 8 games of the season.
Yeah.
That's it. He actually caught more touchdowns sense the changes.
Well, but he had the yardage early.
More yardage early.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, they had Waddle, too. Like, they had a lot to go around. Vegas was a two-horse show. It was Jacobs and Adams.
Yeah.
That was the whole operation.
Listen,
Miami had a lot of weapons. That's the only one. I mean, it's not terrible, but to me, when I think of I kind of view this, and this is why I think like the NBA gets the MVP wrong a lot. If you look back on a season and think, who are the first people who come to mind during a season? If you do that in this NFL season, for me, when I think receiver, I think Jefferson and Hill. And Mahomes is the quarterback. Like those are the things that I think of.
So yards go, Jefferson 1, Hill 2, Adams 3, A.J. Brown 4, Diggs 5, CeeDee Lamb 6. Receptions go, Jefferson 1, Hill 2, Diggs 3, Lamb 4, Amon-Ra St. Brown. But again, receptions is a weird one because it's more of like an accumulation stat. Because you can force feed somebody a lot of targets. Like the target leaders, interesting, and then touchdowns. Adams 14, Diggs and A.J. Brown 11. Only people in double digits other than the tight end Travis Kelce. That's and Kittle had 11 as well. That surprises me.
Yeah.
I mean, the best receivers this year were clearly, if you were going out there, and by the way, there probably should be 3 receivers on the team if we're being honest about it, would have been Adams, Hill, and Jefferson without question.
Yeah.
Would Sauce Gardner be your third corner?
Yeah, and you can make a case that Sauce Gardner should be on there over Pat Surtain.
Although, you hear Burrow today?
Said that he was the best.
Burrow today said that the best corner in the league is Pat Surtain.
Interesting.
He actually mentioned Denzel, too, in that.
That's wild. There are only 5 pass catchers with double-digit touchdowns this year.
Dude, so many. But it goes back to your point on the 3 receiver thing.
Yeah, there should be.
It's so spread around.
The
receiver position, there's so many guys catching passes now. You know, you go look at like a stat breakdown from 20 years ago, and 2 guys got 80% of the passes.
Yep.
You know, now everybody catches passes. Running backs catch them. I mean,
I think there's a clear top 3, which would be the 3 we talked about, and then the next group would be the next 3 is also really good. This year, because of injury, it wouldn't be Jamar Chase. It would be A.J. Brown, Stephon Diggs, and CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah. Chase missed, 4 games?
Yeah.
He's still at over 1,000 yards.
1,046 and 9.
9 touchdowns? He missed 4 games?
CeeDee Lamb had 1,409. I mean, you could argue CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, and I wouldn't fight anybody on that. A.J. Brown, considering they also had Devontae Smith and were the number 1 running team in the league to have 1,500 yards and 11 touchdowns, averaging 17 yards a catch, which is the highest in the league outside of Waddle.
I think incredible. I think you can honestly put him in that category
of the top.
Yeah, I would put him with those other 3. I think he's right there.
He had a better year.
And when you think
Diggs.
of this year, I think of him and the impact he had with Hurts and Philly. Absolutely,
just gave him away.
Yeah, Kyle Juszczyk at fullback. Like, how many teams even use a fullback?
You don't need a fullback.
No, fullback and nose tackle. I would get both of those out. I would add a 3rd receiver, and I would add like a.
Or keep them. It doesn't have to be 11. Like you can
like
acknowledge.
The 11. I like it. I like 11.
I think there's something to be said though that you are the best fullback in the league. Like you can have acknowledgement that it just.
Is that sometimes though valedictorian of summer school? Like how many teams even carry fullbacks?
For sure, but you have to if you're still the best at what you do in the whole world, that's still worth acknowledging, even if it is a niche role. I mean, like kickers and punters.
Even if you're the smartest of a bunch of dumb people.
Long snapper makes it on here.
That's true.
Like if long snapper gets to have its own category.
That's your best argument. You got long snappers, core teamer.
You have 2 of them.
2 core teamers on this thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, if that's the case, then you got to. But you got to have. To me, in the standard one, you should have 3 receivers, and then it should be you get rid of nose tackle. I would get rid in the standard. I would get rid of fullback. I'd add a 3rd receiver. I'd get rid of nose tackle, and I would add almost like utility. So it could be Micah Parsons, or it could be a 3rd corner, safety, whatever.
Yes,
whatever you want that to be.
Yep. I like that. I got no problem with that.
But this stuff matters, man. I mean, it really matters. Like it's this year in the Hall of Fame finalists. Like,
of course it matters.
We know what Hoff is, but my guess is around the country, because it's not like Hoff has any time that. Like, here's the Hall of Fame finalists. It's not Hoff's name that's first. In fact, like Zach Thomas was even mentioned, and Zach should have been a long time ago.
Yeah.
But it won't be until you get on that Pro Football Reference or on that Wikipedia and you see 8-time All-Pro, 6-time first-team All-Pro, 10 Pro Bowls that you go, oh, I see.
Yep.
Because you don't watch left tackle, right? You don't.
No.
And that's just the reality of it. So these things, they're the measuring stick.
Agreed. 100%.
This is what's going to get Zach Thomas in the Hall of Fame, is going to be this.
It should be. So Pro Football Focuses, which we also have here, they go quarterback, running back, 2 wide receivers, tight end, and then a flex on offense. So if there was a running back, wide receiver, whatever. I like that. And then same on defense. And there is, by the way, quite a bit of overlap here. On defense, they go 2 interior, 2 edge, 2 linebacker, 2 corner, 2 safety, and then a flex, which they give it to Jalen Ramsey there. But it's interesting the overlap here.
They do have quite a bit.
These.
The offensive lines are quite a bit different.
So you got
right because
they got Jacobs 1, 2 receivers. You got
Hill and Jefferson, and then Adams is a flex.
Hill didn't make this one, but Adams is a flex, which makes me think if that had a flex, that probably would have been the same. Yeah. Kelsey's the same. Left tackle is different.
Andrew Thomas versus Trent Williams.
Guard is the same.
Joel. Center. Creed Humphrey. Jason Kelsey.
But he made second team.
Yeah. Right guard Chris Lindstrom on PFF. Zach Martin.
But Lane Johnson's
same.
Defense Lawrence and Jones.
Yep.
Garrett. Now they have Bosa second team and Parsons in here, but that's not how that worked out. Now on the interior, the linebackers are both different, right? Roquan and Fred Warner. They have Fred Warner second team.
Yeah.
Roquan's not even mentioned, which feels wild to me.
Yeah, they have Bobby Wagner.
And TJ Edwards, who I don't even know who that is.
I haven't heard people. And Levante David is second.
Yeah. There. So they have Surtain and Gardner.
Sauce, yeah.
No Slay.
No mention of Slay, second team either. They have Patrick Peterson and Jair Alexander as second team.
And then they've got Minka at safety. No Derwin James. They have
Minka
Ryan
on the
Neal.
NFLPA. Yeah, and then they've got both. So Minka overlaps, and then James on the players list. The PFF list has Ryan Neal, and the second teamers Tyrann Mathieu and Cameron Curl.
And then they've got
and then Ramsey as a flex.
They've got Tommy Townsend is the same as both. Must have had a real good year. Jeremy Reeves made it on both. By the way, shout out, represented by the Agent of the Stars. Jeremy Reeves for the Commanders.
There you go.
And that's it. It's funny, they have Bradbury as second team. Slay not even mentioned, and Slay made first team on this one. I think he does have big play Slay. He's got some name recognition amongst the players. Yeah, interesting, but quite a bit of overlap.
Yeah, there is. All right, coming up next, what we learned from Week 18. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Into Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Valley Bet. Coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Time for What We Learned. Hello, Gibby.
Hi, boys.
How are you?
It's first Friday.
It is. Cocktails for everybody. Act accordingly.
You're darn right.
I mean, there's nothing I can say that won't get me in trouble, so I'll just leave
So
it.
just stop. Yep.
Yeah.
Week 18 in the National Football League, kids. Yep.
That's right.
It was yesterday.
I didn't see
Anyways,
it. How have I missed it?
we get ready
Did you
for the
know
play.
that? Did you know that this was going on?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Not me.
I just became aware this morning.
I just
Welcome.
became aware a minute ago.
Welcome.
All right. Where are we?
Miss a day, miss a lot.
Our pets' heads are falling off.
Week 18 in the National Football League
Ooh,
is
one
completed, and we get one thought as we take a look around the final regular season
That's
week
right.
in the National Football League. Saturday night, Jacksonville 20, Tennessee Titans. Trevor Lawrence and company going to the playoffs. Bo Bishop, one thought from you.
Yeah, I believe we had this one pretty much pegged. I think we pretty much said on Friday when we did the scores, would not be surprised if Tennessee won. You knew they'd play hard for Vrabel. They did. They almost did win. In the end, I think the NFL wins because you get to see Trevor Lawrence in the postseason, and that's fun for everybody. Tennessee, perhaps.
I think they're getting boat raced.
They might, but
Who?
I don't think Jacksonville will get boat raced.
Jackson.
Chargers don't boat race anybody.
Hold on a second. Gibbe, are you aware that?
And
I know it was a while ago.
I'm anti-Charger coach, but I was not impressed with what I watched last Saturday.
Do you not like the way these teams match up? Is that what it is?
I just don't think. I think Jacksonville has made some plays down the stretch. They've gotten in, but I think that the dream comes to an end relatively quickly here.
Have you become a Brandon Staley fan?
No, I'm not.
Gibbe, are you aware that this game is actually a rematch?
They've played.
Are you aware of that, Gibbe?
No.
Are you aware of what happened
in
that game?
Guess the stats.
Would you like to guess what happened in that game?
Based on how you're talking, no.
That game was played in L.A.
That's right.
And the Jags beat them 38-10.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Sometimes
this
just
weekend.
concede defeat.
That's a long time ago. To be fair,
But wasn't Herbert played in that?
Herbert,
It was a
yes.
full. Well, they didn't have the receivers, but they might. What's going on with Mike Williams? I mean,
I don't know.
Your boy
We're
got
playing
back.
in
Your boy
meaningless
played him
Week
right
18
there.
Games.
your
We'll
boy,
get to that.
your boy.
Zagura, one thought from you. I still think they're getting boat raced.
Yeoman's effort from Josh Dobbs. Cool to see him get that opportunity. Obviously, the fumble touchdown at the end that cost him game. Not his fault. You'd like to, feel that in the pocket. But what I'm going to go with here is that I like this Jags team. And you could talk about, I believe when you get to a certain level of coaching in the NFL, when you have just like basic competence and above, it comes down to A, do you scheme them up right, but B, do the players execute?
Yep.
When you have completely incompetent coaching in the NFL, you don't have a chance. And to see this Jags team go from total and complete incompetence to competence and make the playoffs in 1 year's time, to have Trevor Lawrence go from looking like, are we sure? Did we have this wrong? To, oh, this guy's making throws as good as anybody in the league and has played a stretch, down the stretch as well as, any quarterback.
Yep.
Is pretty awesome.
Good for the
and there's
Khan
no
family.
question. And frankly,
by the way, for bailing,
had to.
no,
there was
but
no choice.
like, this ain't it.
They
You gotta
would-
get out.
he's the coach of the year in the NFL.
Yeah.
Tell me he's not.
He's done a good job.
Sirianni's done such a good job, but you
How
could
about
make
Kyle?
This.
Can we
Kyle,
talk about?
No, he doesn't want
13
to.
and 4
with Brock
with
Purdy.
Brock Purdy.
No big deal. Like, I'm not joking when I say this. The Jags probably would not have been in any different of a spot last year than they ended up with Buddy Garrity, as in your dog, as their head coach.
And he eats deer poo.
Fecal material.
That's okay. It's not bad for him.
There
he
are
went at
many
it this
cases
morning in a beeline. He found it this morning.
Correct.
Look, we have had obviously a tough stretch here.
Yeah.
So not throwing stones at all,
Yeah.
because this would be apropos to that time as well. Like given the ultimate outcomes.
Yeah.
That like when fans are like, I could have done that. Like they could have done what happened.
The fan
in
wouldn't have done as
Jacksonville
much
last year.
damage, honestly.
Probably not.
Yeah.
They would have flown with the team every week.
The
It's
other
like Tark with the Spurs, like that type of disaster.
Saturday night's other game, the Kansas City Chiefs take down Las
Tark was
Vegas,
great on that Lakers
31-13. Zagura, one thought from you.
It's amazing to me the difference, like in the NFL, when you have a guy like Stidham who comes in and like the Niners probably didn't really know what to expect, and and then all of a sudden with a week of tape, it doesn't look like it did the week before. Just how kind of easy that was. I'll also say this: the Chiefs are just a very, very complete football team. They do ring around the rosy. They've got it all. They've got so many different weapons that can hurt you in so many different ways. They are a fun football team to watch, and I'm excited for this AFC playoff because I think the three best teams in the NFL, three of the four are in the AFC, one being the Niners and the Eagles. So of the top five, it's still three, but those three are all, if they won Super Bowl, you'd be like, yeah, I get it.
Yep. This is so they close out this season, the one seed in the AFC. Mahomes is going to win the MVP. He'll have two of those and a Super Bowl by the time he's 27. That seems like a pretty good deal and appropriate for his talent. I don't know if they'll ever have an easy a path as they're going to have this year. And it's still tough because it's still the AFC. You're going to play the Chargers or the Jaguars. But, like, holy smokes. Bye. You're the only team with a bye. That, and then you get either Buffalo or Cincinnati at your place.
Unless it's Buffalo.
Oh. And then they have to bludgeon each other.
Is there a coin toss?
No, it's neutral. Neutral if it's Buffalo. But I think Cincinnati gets them. So that's pretty good.
Well,
pretty good.
I'm going to tell you right now, if it's going to be neutral, it's going to be somewhere that the climate is controlled, which
I think it's got to be Indy.
They rejected it.
Indy rejected it.
Oh, Indy doesn't want it?
No.
Well, I don't know if I'm guessing they couldn't, right? Or
so
it feels odd to say we don't want it.
Will they do
I can tell you the one stadium that wants it, Vegas.
You don't take two East Coast teams and go, well, you have tons of flights, I guess, tons of hotels.
Vegas. He's dying because I think he's bleeding money.
I'll tell you where it should be, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Oof.
They're all a long flight, though, from those two places. Nothing's drivable. You're not driving from Kansas City to Minneapolis.
No.
You know,
Detroit?
I think there's a conflict in Detroit. I thought I read, or maybe
there
not.
There must be. I mean, they haven't mentioned
I saw
it.
Nashville mentioned.
That's still cold.
I mean, they're both outdoor stadiums, though, so it would be what the game would have been.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
To Sunday, and we'll start with Sunday night. Lions 20, Packers 16. Bo Bishop, one thought from you.
I just think it's that probably the most stupefying result of the weekend. To be at Lambeau, all you have to do is beat Detroit, and Detroit's good. They are good. They're a very good football team. But if you're Aaron Rodgers and you're a first-team All-Pro, you're the MVP a year ago, you got to win that game. You have to. And it's tremendous disappointment. And at the same time, tremendous credit to Dan Campbell that got his guys to play hard for nothing.
Yeah, nothing like going out of the tunnel and being told, hey, Seattle's just eliminated.
Yeah, and he flipped it to they don't get to do it either. So for that.
This was a fun, awesome football game.
Yeah.
It was great to watch. The drama in the second half. The Lions on their final drive twice could have kicked field goals to go up 7 and give Rodgers the ball back. They went for it on fourth down both times. They threw it both times with Jared Goff for completions. Yep. They ran basically a screen and ladder. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've never seen that.
No.
You throw a screen, have him toss the ball back to a running back who's running basically around him. They picked up 14 yards on that play. Just incredibly creative. They were a team that the playoffs would have been better off with them in it because they're hot. That's a hot football team, the Detroit Lions. But didn't they have didn't they get smoked by who smoked them recently?
Carolina,
right?
Yeah, they ran
smoked
for
them.
Team record.
Carolina
smoked them, which is just so odd, but they were good. And then now the questions are full-on drama in Wisconsin. What's going on out there in Rodgers? Would he play? By the way, I read the jersey thing much, much more than like the Hoff did and Andrew Whitworth actually talked about too.
Who are you, man?
I'm not giving you my jersey.
You're some rookie? You're not getting my jersey. Go to hell.
Yeah.
Come on.
Get lost.
It was definitely more that than I'm not going to play for the Packers.
Right.
For sure. Yeah.
Totally.
Up next, guys, the Eagles finally take care of business. They down the New York Football Giants 22-16. Zagura, one thought from you.
It was very good for the Eagles, given that they're going to have this bye, to get Jalen Hurts that action, because he was a little bit rusty. You still saw some of it, but he had a chance to be really, really good in this one, and I think it's going to be helpful for them that they got that. And I think that was really, to me, the point of the game from their perspective. Lock up the 1 seed. They did that. Get Hurts some action. They did that.
Good job out of Dable. 9-7-1. He was here, obviously. He's been rumored for a bunch of jobs. Finally gets one. Goes 9-7-1 in year one. They don't play their guys in the game, and they're still competitive. Backdoor on the cover. Good job out of them.
And they do not fear the Minnesota Vikings, who they play this weekend.
Minnesota might be the worst 13-4 team in the history of football.
Perhaps.
Hot take.
But still dangerous. Hurts is one of 6 quarterbacks.
Do you know the point differential on the Vikings?
It's negative, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. 13-4, and they're -3.
One of 6 quarterbacks since 1950 to have 35 or more touchdowns and 1 or fewer losses in games they started. Randall Cunningham, 98. That had to be the Vikings. Brady, that magical 2007 season. Rodgers in 2011. MVP Cam Newton in 2015. Pat Mahomes 2020. That's it. That's the list. Didn't hear Steve Young's name.
I did not either.
All right, next, the Commanders down Dallas 26-6. Bo Bishop, one thought from you.
I think desperate times in Big D. Dak played.
This
he was
Monday
bad.
Nighter's looking a lot better as we go through this week.
Something ain't right there, man. It ain't right, and that's a tough one. That performance with all that was at stake for them to show up like that, not show up like that. Rather, pretty shocking to me, that performance out of Dallas.
Stunning by them.
Yeah.
Dominant by the Commanders' D.
Well, we saw them. They can
play.
Dominate
they dominated us for a half, and then we got them. But there's no Jonathan Allen in this game either. But kind of just a stunning limp into the playoffs by the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Next up, Broncos 31, Chargers 28. Zagura, one thought from you.
I don't understand anything about this game. I don't get it. The Chargers knew they had the 5 seed locked up. They played the starters anyway. And then they go out and lose. Mike Williams gets a back injury. Joey Bosa got banged up.
The damage done by that bozo. He's a Northeast Ohio dude, but, come on, man.
They're winning in spite of it.
What is he doing?
I don't know.
I was also thinking about this. If I were to give you any one record in August and say, explain to me how this happened, the hardest one to explain other than, Russell Wilson got hurt, was Denver 5-12.
Insane.
5-12.
Yep.
If you would have asked me after the first game, though, and the mismanagement in Seattle by Nathaniel Hackett, we could have at least pinned some of the blame on him. But
right.
It's just wild.
But that is crazy.
Yeah.
Up next, Seahawks 19, Rams 16 in overtime. Bishop, one thought.
9-8 Seattle. It's an unbelievable thing.
And they have the Broncos number 5 pick in the draft.
Yeah, they're picking 5th overall. They have, Carroll's got culture in spades. It's a real operation out there. They don't get the credit they deserve, I think, because of where they're located. But that's an incredible year out of them.
It is. Wild game, honestly. You think they would have just smoked the Rams. They did not. It took a late interception from Baker Mayfield to give them the win there on a pretty good play by Quandre Diggs to cover a lot of grass, or in that case, turf, to get that interception. Here's what's amazing to me about this. This is my big takeaway from this game. Cam Akers, all of a sudden is like one of the best running backs in the NFL. 3 straight 100-yard games to close out the season. And you remember at the beginning of the year, he couldn't even get carries. Then they were going to trade him.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wanted him, and now he looks like one of the better running backs in the NFL.
I just think that the talent was always there with him. It's just they didn't have anywhere else to go. Everybody else was hurt.
But why, if
no
the
more
talent
backs.
was already there to do that, why didn't they just let him be the guy? Like, their offense
Because he's a punk.
It's maybe.
Yeah.
It's always been better when they had that guy, like early.
Baker press conference yesterday where he's talking about, I'm not just going to go to some place I'm not just going someplace for the cash and to start. I'm going to be choosy. I found the way to love the sport again. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, you went 13-26 and a pick against Seattle.
The game-losing pick.
Correct. Yeah, there's no one paying you to start anywhere.
Well,
that ain't going to be it, man.
Where is this from, Gibbe? This is ESPN?
Yes.
Oh, this is Nick.
No, this is NFL.com.
NFL.com. Nick Shook's takeaway. Mayfield was an intriguing figure for the Rams late this season and played well enough at times to warrant consideration for a job. I said job, not starting job somewhere.
Yeah.
All right, let's go rapid fire here because we're up against it. Zagura, one thought. 49ers 38, Cardinals 13. Just Zagura here. We'll go every other.
Purdy. Multiple TD passes in 6 straight games, joining Justin Herbert as the only rookies with a streak of 6+ such games in NFL history. And obviously an emotional goodbye for J.J. Watt, who had 2 sacks in his final game, which is pretty darn cool.
Bishop, one thought from you. Bills 35, Patriots 23.
Opening kick, return for a touchdown. The football gods did it right.
It's insane.
It's unbelievable.
I've watched it probably 20 times.
Yep. Actually, from both of you here, real quick thought. Bengals 27, Ravens 16. Zagura.
The Ravens are in disarray, and they're going to be, I think, a pretty easy one and done here in the playoffs. Aren't they running this back? They just run it right back. Yeah, I think they're going to be a one and done here. Bengals are a very, very good football team, my friends.
They got jobbed a little bit by the way that this whole thing worked out.
They're
Cincinnati
angry.
did. They're going to have a chip. They haven't lost in a really long time. They cover most weeks. They're going to be a brutal out. Wouldn't surprise me at all if they won it all.
Falcons beat Tampa Bay. We're not even going to address it. Carolina beats New Orleans.
It was weird, by the way, that Brady did start in that game.
Yes. Because we had talked about him not playing, and
played
that was the
and
number.
Then left.
The score was a little different.
I should take this time to remind you to listen to 850 ESPN Cleveland, WKNR Cleveland, a good Karma brand station. Continue, Kitty.
The big B out of you.
That's huge.
Vikings 29, Bears 13. Bishop, the team of your Ute.
So Vikings worst 13-4 team ever. Minus 4-point differential on that. For perspective, I think the Niners are 174 plus, and they have the same record. So that's the difference. This will be a fascinating decision for Chicago, and they've never been in this position to draft number 1. I can't even tell you the last time they drafted number 1 overall. It had to be like the 30s. So they're picking number 1 overall. People like Bryce Young a lot, but he's not unimpeachable. He's not Lawrence. There's not that. He's smaller, slight of frame. You've seen some flashes with Fields, but can they resurrect? We know he can because we saw him throw it. So if anything impeded him from throwing, it's them. The situation wrecked him and turned him into more of a runner than a thrower. He wasn't that coming out of Ohio State. They got $100 million in cap space. It's stupid that they gave the Claypool deal because that would have been 32nd overall. They would have had that pick too. Fascinating year. All while new stadiums are being – you guys see the stadium renderings, the one for Soldier that the city of Chicago put out yesterday?
They look pretty good.
Looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Build a dome around it, clear top, the whole bit.
Yeah.
But I don't think the Bears want to be down there. They want to be in the suburbs so they control it, so they have parking, so they have all that.
Bars, restaurants, all that stuff.
Yeah, Soldier Field's in a tough location. So, interesting.
One final thought real quick from both of you. Zagura, we'll start with you. Code Red ignored. Texans 32, Colts 31.
You had one job.
I just don't even understand that. Let's not forget.
You're going to fire me?
Let's not forget Lovie Smith. Spent a lot of time with the Bears, a lot of time in the great state of Illinois.
Oh, it's a great job out of you if you want to take the next step.
Deep thought there, Jack Handy.
I like that.
It's not even that deep.
It's pretty direct line.
It's real direct. And they were championing that all over all of the Bears' social media. Maybe not their official, but those who are fans of the Bears.
You should have just acted like you came up with that on your own. I didn't even put those dots together. What an incredible job.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Stupefying, unbelievable, hard to fathom. I thought this game was going to be 2-0, where one team was going to take a safety to lose the game, and instead it was a 32-31 barn burner with a 4th and 20 conversion and a 2-point conversion to win it and knock themselves out of the number 1 overall pick, which is just insane.
Yeah, and in doing so, almost assures that they will not get the first choice at quarterback. It does. I mean, either the Bears pick Bryce Young or else they trade out of it, and somebody else gets it because there will be
could be very much Indy.
It could be Indy because Indy's picking 4th. So not only does it hurt them, Young could go in the division to a fellow Dome team, and because Indy is the 4th pick, it's more of an attractive package to Chicago than it would have been had they won. You blew it, boy.
Oh, boy, did you.
Good job out of you, Gibby.
Thank you.
For a
That's 1
team,
week
for a team of injury lawyer. Well, actually, tell you what. We'll go around the league. We've got some more locker room sound from yesterday as well. We've got a little bit higher, lower. Second hour coming up next. Listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet. Coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Injury lawyers dedicated to every client every day. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Elk and Oak's a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. One of our trusty listeners, Riley, passing this along that on the McAfee show, one of the Bills beat reporters said that Atlanta is the leading contender for the AFC Championship game.
Love it.
If that's it. Boy, yeah. I mean, all those fans trying to get into that airport, at least you could fly direct, assuming they all have Delta. Kansas City and
Atlanta's
Buffalo,
a good airport.
You could fly in there and
Yeah.
get it sorted out. As we go around what a story. Speaking of the Bills, DeMar Hamlin officially released from Buffalo General Medical Center. The team announced today.
Incredible.
What a 10 days.
Just incredible.
Gone twice, salvaged, saved, recovered, it's intact.
It's just
walking
awesome.
out.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's awesome. I love it. It brings me great joy.
It brings us all great joy.
That was one of the craziest and scariest nights from as a sports and just as a human perspective, seeing that unfold on television the way that it did, and to know that this is where we are 9 days later is pretty remarkable. It certainly didn't feel like this is where we would be 9 days later.
No, because 9 days ago on that night, you were waiting 30 minutes to find out if he had died on the field.
He was alive, yeah.
And never got – so just absolutely crazy. This from Schefter. Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel ruled Tua Tagovailoa out Sunday's game against Buffalo. Still not cleared concussion protocol. They're preparing as if Skylar Thompson will start Sunday at Buffalo. Actually, Jalen
Waddle
was asked – about Tua's long-term prognosis. And he says, man, I don't know. I'm the wrong guy to ask about that. Who knows? It's all in play at this point for Tua Tagovailoa. And he's been injured a lot. This is now brain. That's a wholly different thing. But he's had serious injuries at Alabama, serious injuries already.
He's not a big guy.
No, he's not. No. I think people thought that he was, but he's not. And so that's a sad one down there. And that was, that's speaking of Cincinnati, that was down there where that whole incident happened, was down in Cincinnati where they misdiagnosed the first concussion he had this year. So 2 on the season for Tua. And if you're Miami, they have everything else. They have everything else. And there's no shot going into Buffalo with Skylar Thompson against Josh Allen.
There's no shot.
None.
0.
Yeah. This could be some brutal games this weekend.
It's
hard to imagine.
I don't know when
San
we're doing
Francisco.
Guess the Lines, but we could even do that. Throw that in there.
We got time tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Get your.
Guys, don't be mad. Don't be mad. Jason Gibbs started in the radio industry in 2023, so you can expect some hiccups. Some hiccups.
Intern Gibby.
My mic wasn't on to begin with.
Corporate intern Gibby.
Shouldn't have been.
Corporate Gibby, Peapod Gibby.
Did you see somebody being like, what's happening to this guy? He's being a Peapod. It's bringing him down.
There's a lot of Gibbys. Yeah.
It's not true, and everybody.
I'm on Team Gibby on this one. I don't think he's Corporate Gibby today. I think this is standard issue off-season Gibby.
Yeah.
This is Combine Gibby. Combine Gibby's a little bit more loose. We're excited.
More lurking.
Might even have a khaki thrown in there for you.
You had a lurk yesterday that was pretty good, or Monday.
He was great.
I saw you lurking very well
with headphones on.
Yeah,
that's an extra. Yeah. That's a special lurk.
Do you think remember real quickly on the Combine, which is coming up at the end of February, early March, and we'll be over there. The you remember last year? There was nobody there. None of the national guys. There were hardly any of them there.
They were all in other locations.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Remember, we kept waiting. No one was by us. We were like, huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kept the ESPN set had always been by us in the past. And
yeah, and there was nothing there. It was it's always us, those guys from Nashville.
They're always there. The Vikings.
Paul Allen.
Yeah, always.
Screaming.
Dallas is always there.
Are they there with a daily radio, Dallas?
Yeah. They're on. They're usually if we're in this area, they're over in here.
Albright's there with Denver.
Albright's always there. Yeah. But we didn't have in years past a Kurt Warner would just walk through.
They weren't walking through our room. They were going some other way to get into that other room because everything was still going on in that other room.
Yeah, because you have basically the Super Bowl media row thing sort of at the Combine where just random NFL stars would just walk through and do media.
Yeah.
And then last year didn't feel like we had that. Like you had to do a lot more lurking last year than normally.
It was a lot easier. The first day was a little rough just because the schedule changed. Now the same schedule as last year, so I feel like we're going to be. We'll kind of have.
It's a long walk too from where they do the interviews to where we are.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a hike.
Yeah,
so for some people,
I got to watch Sims all the way.
Like Sims is not coming of his own volition,
unless I'm right there next to him.
We say it's long walk, but
basically
it's like
holding his arm.
Yeah, it's 2 minutes. That's it. Yeah. I mean, is Sims even the get now in that operation, or do we get Jack Collinsworth?
Oh, I can tell you, we're going to get everybody. Never mind. I don't have anything nice to say. We are going to get Chris Sims.
I don't know if we will.
I just like him on. I don't know. He ghosted you. He dogs you last time. Big time.
He was on last year with us.
Was it last? No,
2
I
years
thought last
ago.
year
2 years
left.
ago, he got food poisoning or something.
We lost our sushi restaurant. We're racing to get Subway. Remember that?
Man.
How absurd that was. There's no place to eat.
Yeah.
Heel. It's a heel.
It's off the ground so quickly. It's different in those shoes than his, but look how
those
quickly
were like
it gets
are like ninja slippers.
Yeah.
They weren't. It wasn't
More
like a
flat.
standard.
Yeah, sneaker.
Nike.
He's got it real lean.
Yeah. Lamar Jackson reportedly faces an uphill battle to play Sunday night in the wild card game against the Bengals per the NFL Network. If they knew that, there's no way they put that Sunday night.
Let me just say this,
please.
Like 4 weeks ago,
mm-hmm.
they thought they were like he'll be back.
Yeah,
4 weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
So what's going on?
You think he's like, do you wish you would have paid me now?
I don't know. I heard. Where did I read this? Somebody sent it to me that Carolina and Atlanta are the two most likely destinations for him, that they believe a trade will. Some Ravens analyst, not for the team, but somebody who covers the Ravens, had posited on a various program
mm-hmm.
that he was going to be traded prior to the draft, and that Carolina and Atlanta were the likely destinations.
I think it's just like I thought it was one of the most complicated contract extensions. I think it's one of the most complicated trades.
Yeah.
How do you?
Well, you franchise them, trade them under the franchise, and then that team can tear that up and get a long-term.
I'm saying from a compensation on the give back.
There has to be option A and option B if he doesn't.
He hasn't been healthy. At his best, he's the MVP, but that's been, 3 seasons? He's worth 10 points, but it's kind of got to be the operation's got to run his way. You know?
Atlanta feels like it would be a good fit for him. You got Drake London, a big receiver that he can throw it up
mm-hmm.
to. You got Kyle Pitts, who could be like his Mark Andrews, and you've got guys that can run the ball.
Yeah, and then with that Arthur Smith offense,
right, would suit him.
Would seem to, yeah. Commander, speaking of offense, the Commies have fired offense coordinator Scott Turner yesterday. Is that Norv's kid?
Yeah, he was with the Browns for quite some time.
Was he?
Yep.
When Norv was here, he was want to say receivers coach. He was with the Browns for a while.
Yeah, I think
that sounds right.
I think you have that.
It is amazing how much nepotism's in football. Like,
dude,
your qualification basically your dad did, so come on. Well, they'll bring you along. Like, it's wild. Lions GM Brad Holmes said he feels that Jared Goff has proved to be the franchise quarterback moving forward during his end-of-season news conference yesterday. Yeah, I would say so. Goff's done more than enough to prove that.
Yeah, if he hasn't, what are you looking for? This was a football team that took a little while to get going, but once it got going, it was there. And Goff's always been at his best when he's had a speedy guy. He's going to have Jamison Williams at full go next year. I think they're going to be a fun team. I thought they were a fun team this year.
That is one of the few trades that feels like it worked for everybody. The Rams got what they wanted. They won the Super Bowl. Now, I think they miscalculated in the terms of the impact it would have in Los Angeles. I think they thought it would make it a Rams town. It's not.
Yeah.
Hasn't really done anything. And the Lions not only get Goff, who is a franchise quarterback. Is he an MVP? No. But he's in that next rung.
Yep.
He's not an MVP, not in the top tier, but he's in that second tier. You can definitely win with him. He's been to a Super Bowl. And you get all of the Rams assets in the draft.
Yeah.
Like that it's going to – I mean, they're going to be able to stack that roster.
Yeah.
Not only – like Hutchinson was really good this year. Jamison Williams is going to be like getting the best receiver in this year's draft because he would have been. He was the best receiver in last year's draft from a ceiling standpoint. And you get the Rams pick and your pick this year. 2 more ones.
Yeah. In a division that
It's about to be really
You don't know what's
winnable.
going on with Green Bay. Minnesota is not that great, and the Bears are, they could improve rapidly, but still seem to be a ways away. So he was our receivers coach, had that right in 2013. Then he went to the Vikings. 14, 15, 16 was a quarterback coach there, so definitely cross paths with Kevin Stefanski.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Goff, 29 touchdowns, 7 picks.
Yeah.
4,400 yards.
What's completion percentage? 67?
65.
65.
Yeah. Yeah. And did it without Jameson Williams, who they'll get. That Hawkinson trade's still crazy.
Still nuts.
Makes no sense.
They probably want that back.
Yeah, I think so.
29 touchdowns, yes, 7 picks.
Pretty good.
99.3 rating.
Plenty good enough.
Yeah.
All right. You'll hear from Nick Chubb, Joel Bitonio, Greg Newsom, John Johnson coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Back into Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Let's hear from some of our guys on Locker Room Cleanout Day for Monday. Here is Nick Chubb. He was asked what was missing from the team this season. Here's what Nick had to say.
I think it was the small things on and off the field that added up, that came back to bite us in the butt on the field during the game. So just overall, we've got to clean some things up, get some things right, fix stuff, come back ready to work.
You don't have to worry about him being ready to work. We know that. Joel Bitonio, All-Pro on the NFLPA All-Pro first team at left guard, was asked about Deshaun Watson's performance at the end of the season. Here's what Joel had to say.
Yeah, I think we saw glimpses of what we can be with his, ability to improvise, ability to make the big pass when we need to get out of sacks. Also, opens up, the run game for Nick. So I think the last couple of weeks, we haven't given him the ball as much, but his efficiency has been a lot better, run and pass for Nick. So you see all those things where it's hey, the goal is to maximize our offense for everybody in it. You know what I mean? And if that's spreading them out and letting Nick run in 6- and 7-man boxes instead of 8- or 9-man boxes, I think it's a big advantage for us. And I think you saw glimpses of what we can do second half of Washington, some of those touchdown drives we had yesterday. And obviously there's things we need to work on. I think we have to understand, the scramble drill a little bit better. We have to understand our, our protection, how he's going to move her out the pocket, things like that. But I think you saw glimpses of what could be good.
Yeah, I'll tell you, that operation with Watson, because it's entirely different than anybody has played with around here.
Yeah.
They need to rep it a lot.
Yeah.
And this is going to mean the extra week of camp. I know they're not going to be excited about it once Hoff goes into the Hall and we're playing in the Hall of Fame game. But through the summer, mini camp.
That's going to be a huge thing. We talked about it.
It's a big learning curve for everybody. And
Yes.
the offensive line, that's a big change for them.
Agreed. And it's something that they will have to
Receivers.
work on, and I think they will. I think they'll be able to get through it, and you'll see improvement in some of those out-of-structure plays.
Yeah, you have to, because it was very clear that it's something that needs a lot of work. In terms of the defensive issues, Joe Woods has already been relieved. We know that. Greg Newsome on the causes of the defensive issues now.
Thing is honestly just consistency, like I said earlier. When you can find a way to be consistent every single down, every single play, obviously big plays are going to happen. It's part of the game of football, but being able to be resilient, when somebody makes a big play, being able to stand tall and, at the end of the day, it's just being consistent and, your technique, doing your job every single play. Like I said, if your job is to set the edge, make sure you set the edge. It's certain things like that where I feel like we weren't doing that the whole entire season.
Yeah. New faces coming in. Jim Schwartz interviewed today. Reportedly, Florida has tomorrow. John Johnson III now on the defense, and how the issues boiled over throughout the season.
Oh, 100%. 100%. But I just feel like if we were all doing what we were supposed to do, and if we were all, had the same goal in mind, we all had a sense of urgency, certain stuff like that doesn't happen. And, what's the saying, where there's smoke, there's fire. So obviously there was something underlined that wasn't addressed, and like you said, it boiled over. So just got to try to move on from it.
They'll have to. New face, new strategy. It's been done. Sort it out.
Sort it out. Enough with the mistakes, improved execution, be ready to go. And I think that will be, we're going to – obviously they made a coaching change. We'll see what personnel changes they make and what personnel, the defensive coordinator they bring in would want them to make. And see kind of how that all shakes out. But clearly the talent was there for them to be better than they were, and they weren't. And so it's identifying why that is going to be very important.
Very much so. All right, a little bit of higher or lower coming in next, a little better or worse coming your way. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Part of one of the most passionate fan bases in the NFL. Join the Browns season ticket member waitlist today for the best chance at securing tickets at all home games of future seasons. Don't miss out. Go to clevelandbrowns.com/tickets or call 440-891-5050 to reserve your spot today. Time for a little higher lower presented by Keep It Fun Ohio from the Ohio Lottery, who reminds you to know the risks before you gamble. Hello, Gibby.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, buddy.
The final regular season edition of Higher or Lower, presented by our great friends at the Ohio Lottery. And you got to bring in the guy that knows everything, Pete Prisco, CBSSports.com.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, man.
Omniscient Pete.
Let's go.
Oh,
We're going to do
my
a special
gosh.
one today.
This will be fun.
Are the following teams higher, closer to number 1, lower,
You mean better?
closer to number 32?
Sure, better. Or are they worse?
We had probably the two trials I was most looking forward to was your prosecution of Prisco and my prosecution of Pedro. Both of those were such landslide victories.
Bloodbaths.
I mean, there wasn't even the drama we were hoping for.
No.
It was
Nothing.
over
No
immediately.
resistance.
No resistance. Yeah, I was wrong. So what? Okay.
Yep.
I'm still going to continue to think that way and act that
Yeah.
way. Deal with it. The Browns finish in Pete Prisco's power poll at number 23. Now, the teams right in front of them include the Saints, Jets, Titans, and Commies. Behind them, the Panthers, Raiders, Falcons, Cardinals. Zagura, higher, lower, or just right for your 2022-23 Cleveland Browns?
Well,
Well,
it should be higher, but, I mean, what are we arguing about? We went to the Commanders and beat them 2 weeks ago.
I don't know how the Commies ended up.
And we're ranked behind them because they just smoked the Cowboys, I'm sure. We lost to the Saints. We lost to the Jets.
Drilled by the Patriots.
Drilled by the Steelers.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Bucs are 14. We beat them. They're a playoff team. It unfortunately feels, probably about right. Do I believe that we're better than the Saints? Do I believe we're better than the Jets? Like in a decent weather day, do I think we beat the Saints? Yeah, I do. I think we beat the Jets right now. I definitely think we beat the Titans right now. I know we beat the Commanders. So, yeah, we're probably better than that. But when you're 7-10, you're 7-10. You're not out here like saying, hey, we're better than that.
You can't be chesty at 7-10. You just
No.
take your
Take your medicine.
and move on to the next. I mean,
Now-
it is what it is.
Zagura, you said something interesting because all offseason last year we were like, no one's going to want to play the Jets at the end of the year. Actually, you wanted to play them at the end of the year.
Yep.
Well, it's interesting though too because like we just did, that might be a segment. I did that thing with the Broncos. Like if I were to give you the record and you were to say, if I were to give you a record in August and say, why do you think this happened versus how it happened? Like the Jets are a great example of this is the record. Go back to August. How do you think they got there? Like you never would have thought that Wilson to White to Flacco to Wilson to all the all the things that happened. Like a great one is San Francisco. My God, like go back to August. Nate, the team of your youth is going to go 13-4. Trey Lance hit.
Kyle's a gangster, and he got Trey Lance.
Trey Lance to go.
Being a stud.
Trey Lance went.
Yep, no doubt.
No Trey Lance. Garoppolo, Purdy. What?
Forget about even August.
Come on.
Remember when Zach Wilson got hurt? And we were all like, how the Jets going to recover?
Right.
Actually, they would have been just fine.
Yeah, you would have assumed, in so many of these, you would assume injury catastrophic. Mr. Zagura.
Nate.
We have the FAA here.
Okay.
In Canada, it is called the NOTAM.
Okay.
Yes.
Their entry system experienced an outage affecting newly issued NOTAMs at approximately 10:20 today and was restored at approximately 1:15 Eastern from Nav Canada. At this time, that's the country's air navigation service provider. They do not believe that it is linked to what happened with the FAA. On the same day?
Oh, really?
On the same day? That feels pretty scary to me, to be honest.
Great. Who's hacking into these systems?
Russians.
Damn Russians.
Benjamin Albright, growing sense around people I talk to in the NFL is that Sean Payton may wait until next year to come back if a job he wants isn't there.
Yeah, because McCarthy will definitely be gone after next year.
The one that he would, I think it's Dallas, isn't it?
Or the Chargers have to be fairly attractive.
I love that too, but I always keep, anytime you bring up Chargers, I always bring up who owns them. Are they going to pay a guy not to coach? Are they going to pay up the draft picks?
I'm with you.
It's just not in the DNA.
Yep.
Man, are they still paying the previous guy before this guy?
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like he would put his stake his next job in that as much as you love Herbert.
Yeah. Next.
Higher or lower?
All right, to the top we go. Buffalo is number 1. The Chiefs are number 2. Bishop, higher, lower, or just right for the Kansas City Chiefs?
No,
they're
1. Kansas City's 1, and I think Cincinnati's 2, and I'd have Buffalo 3. That would be it. I'd go KC, Cincinnati, Buffalo would be my top 3. And they're all negligible. They're all great.
Zagura.
KC, Niners, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Eagles is my top 5. And they have a clear separation between them and everybody else.
That the Niners, that I don't attack you for the notion of neutral field, Niners, Brock Purdy versus Allen, Bills, Burrow, Bengals, or Mahomes, Kansas City, goes back to the point I'm making. He's the true genius. He's the guy.
But also, 1 game, 2 games, 3 games, 4 games, maybe you could say it's beginners. It's 6 straight games. He's looked good every game. Kittle raves about him.
I know.
It's not a fluke.
There's just not a lot of precedent for it.
Tom Brady.
But that was year 2 with Brady.
Did he come in as a rookie?
No, it was his second year.
Second year?
Yeah.
So, Zagura, if I'm correct, you had Philly number 5. Bishop, would you have Philly at 5 too? If Jalen Hurts is indeed Jalen Hurts and back and ready to go,
I love Philly.
Do you elevate them a little bit more?
Kansas City, I'd go Kansas City, Cincinnati, Buffalo, Niners, Eagles.
Still 5.
In that order, 5. Yeah.
But those 5 are all in the same tier.
Yeah.
Any of them winning it, not a surprise at all. That's not a disrespect to the Eagles. Those are the 5 teams that I think at the end of this year will be crowned Super Bowl champions, and I don't think there's anybody else that can be. There could be a Cinderella story.
That's where I was going.
That's what I mean.
If it was that or the field, you take that always.
Yeah.
What if it was AFC or the field? Those 3 AFC teams, Bills, Chiefs, Bengals, or field.
I still think the Niners or the Eagles can beat them.
Yeah.
Homer.
That's a good bet. That's probably pretty good odds.
Yeah, I would think so.
Next.
Higher or lower?
All right, I'm going to jump down since we just talked about the Eagles. The Eagles are 4. I'm sorry, the 49ers are 3, Eagles 4, Bengals 5, Cowboys 6, Vikings number 7. Zagura, higher, lower, or just right for Minnesota?
I think that they are worse than that.
It's hard, though, dude.
It's
because,
hard.
The Cowboys aren't very good right now. The Chargers.
I would take the Chargers over them.
Just because of their talent, but, they just lost to Denver with their dudes.
But they didn't play the fourth quarter. They took them out with 11 minutes to go.
Still.
Agreed.
Weird team.
I like the Chargers better than them. I like the Jags better than them.
Here's what I would say.
I think right now, I'd take the Bucs over them in a one-game scenario.
Let's do a real quick exercise here. How many of these teams play to the sum of their parts? Cowboys.
Not.
Doesn't feel like it. But I don't know if their parts are as good as they used to be. Vikings feels like they do. I think they kind of max out. To me, the Vikings' talent feels like it's maxed.
Yes.
They're not very good defensively. Cousins is Cousins, but they went 13-4 with a negative point differential.
Which is insane.
The Chargers do not in any way play to the sum of their parts. The Ravens do. I think they exceed the sum of their parts without Lamar. 10-7?
Yep.
Crazy. Giants exceed the sum of their parts for me. Jaguars play to the sum. I think they've got some skill. I like them. Dolphins are a wild card, and then the rest, you know.
Yeah.
This playoffs would be so much more interesting if it were the Lions, the Packers, and the Steelers in.
Oh, my.
Yeah. Next.
No doubt.
Higher or lower?
Chargers.
But it's going to get real good. Like at the end,
next
going to get
9, Giants 10, the Jaguars at number 11. Zagura, higher, lower, or just right for Jacksonville?
I like them better. I've already said it. I like them better than the Vikings right now, so higher. But this group, for example, I think the Jags, I don't think they're coming out of the AFC, but like they have a better shot to do that than the Ravens, who I believe have no shot. Do you agree with that?
For sure.
So, yeah, they're a little bit better, but they're still in the it's not going to happen.
So they have it's a wild stretch of games for them. They've won 5 in a row. They've won 6 out of 7. Their only loss during that stretch is a 40-14 loss to the Lions. That's it. They lost to Kansas City 27-17, and then they went on the run that I'm talking about. Beat Baltimore by 1, beat the Titans by 14, beat the Cowboys by 6, beat the Jets by 16, Titans by 28, Titans by 4. That's what Jacksonville's been doing. They're ascending. So I wouldn't be surprised if they got the Chargers this weekend. It would not surprise me.
That's a good game. I'm excited
about that. Would not surprise me if they got them.
That will surprise me.
I like them. They're better than 11 right now.
Higher or lower?
Dolphins 12, Seahawks 13. Tampa Bay is number 14 and in the playoffs. Bo Bishop, higher, lower, just right for Tampa Bay.
Well, look, I mean, like, you could put them 6 if you wanted to, even though the record's 8-9, because there is a mythical quality to Brady. And they still have Evans.
They still have enough
Godwin.
guys to keep you up at night.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
They do. They don't have – here's the thing that's weird about them. Like, they don't have what you would consider to be even a good win. You got to go all the way back to, like, the middle of the season. They beat Seattle 21-16. Their wins in the second half of the season, they beat the Saints by 1. They beat the Cardinals by 3. That wasn't even with Kyler. And they beat Carolina. They haven't beaten anybody good. Do they have one good win all season? They beat the Cowboys week 1, 19-3. That's it. That's the list. Not one good win. And they got some bad losses in here.
Zagora?
But
it's Tom Brady. It's the playoffs. They're in the dance. Winning regular season record of them doesn't matter. Do they think they can go on the road and beat anybody? Of course they do. Why? They've got Tom Brady. Yeah. Will they be able to do it? I doubt it. It doesn't feel that way right now.
I'll tell you what, if Dallas pulls a Houdini act, they'll get by them.
I wouldn't be at all surprised if they beat Dallas.
Correct.
And so then you're talking about going to – they've already beat them to start the year. Then they would be going to Philly in the divisional round. So, I mean, Philly's a monster. We know that. Their offensive defensive lines, incredible. But it's a big spot for Jalen Hurts, who hasn't been in it before.
Yeah, they're the team that you don't want to face just because it's Tom Brady.
Yeah,
period.
Sure.
The end. But they also don't seem to be the team that they were when they were out there winning it.
No.
Next.
Higher or lower?
Jumping down to the bottom.
All right.
I want you to give me the worst 4 teams in no particular order.
How about in order?
There's 9 teams for 4 spots. Panthers, Raiders, Falcons, Cardinals, Colts, Rams, Broncos, Texans, Bears. I'll give you a minute.
Well, I'll tell you this. The Broncos are too low on this list because they've been better since Hackett was fired.
And they have
talent. Yeah, they do. So they shouldn't be 30th.
Agreed.
I think the worst, the Texans and the Colts and the Bears are obviously in there.
Yep,
as the 3.
Yeah.
And then if you want to go,
I had Rams
and Cardinals probably.
By the way, people, just real quick, DeAndre Hopkins is not what this offense needs.
Oh, no.
I know, but there are people.
You'd love to have him, but that's not.
Of course you would, but that's not what we need.
That's not no. You need.
Yes. You're not giving up whatever and paying whatever it is to have DeAndre Hopkins.
Maybe we can trade for Tyreek Hill.
Fine. In.
You think that podcast would be in the top 10 in the world, like the Beckham one was?
Yes.
I'll tell you, though, those teams might be the worst teams, but you want to talk about, like, no path forward teams? There's some really tough no path forward teams, and the Rams would be at the top of that list.
Top of the list.
That's a brutal spot. I think the Cardinals are in a brutal spot.
I don't think the Rams should be up there. And I don't think the Rams are one of the 4 worst.
Yeah,
I think they're on the next 4. But
dude, like, what's the path for Carolina? Like, they
get Lamar.
You don't have a quarterback. They've been trying.
That's the path.
Like, the Falcons are in the kind of the same spot. Like, it's pretty.
You're the Arizona Cardinals, and somehow the video game playing quarterback's going to have a say in the next head coach. That doesn't make me feel good about where my franchise is going.
Possible.
Do you think you could put it in contracts that, like, amount of time on video games?
Yeah.
Like, put a limit on it? Might be good for all franchises.
Yeah.
So much more to come. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Hey, before we get out of here, one quick shout out. Michi Johnson, former Cleveland Garfield Heights star. So was an Ohio State kid, played early, skipped his senior year at Garfield Heights, played 2 years at Ohio State, transferred to South Carolina. Last night hit 6 threes. They beat Kentucky in Lexington. South Carolina did. He had 26 points.
That's what they're calling rock bottom. I saw that on Barstool. Rock bottom for Kentucky last night.
Oh, they lost by 40 to Alabama over the weekend. Kentucky
tell
did.
Them to go to Texas or something.
Michi's been through a lot. Remember freshman year, like that's LeBron and Dwayne Wade going to watch him play. He's scoring 50. And then I met him several times. He's always so gracious with his time, so friendly with the kids. Awesome kid. Just made me happy to watch him light up Kentucky last night at Rupp. So good job out of you, buddy.
Good job.
Yeah, very good. The next level is coming up next. We're back tomorrow. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, coming soon to Ohio.